How's it going, everyone? It's Avi from Weather Swan Drop 1000. Today is October 17th, 2021, and today we're going to forecast the amount of snowfall you should expect in each region of the United States. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the ENSO outlook, which is a pretty big indicator of whether or not we're going to experience a lot of snowfall this year or less snowfall this year in your region. And you see that over the next several months, La Nina is favored headed into the winter months, where we see a La Nina most likely during the months of November, December, and January. It's not until the later winter months, until let's say February and March, where a neutral phase becomes more likely, and almost as likely, if not even more likely, than La Nina phase. So that's definitely something interesting we need to watch over the next several months. However, since majority of this winter will primarily experience a La Nina, it's safe to predict La Nina type conditions for the most part for this year in the United States for this winter. So taking a look at what a La Nina typically brings to the United States, we typically see a lot colder than average conditions in the northern United States, and we see more moist than average conditions along the Pacific Northwest as a result of a Pacific jet stream moving through the area, and that brings a lot of troughs right around the Pacific Northwest region, and it just increases and enhances the amount of precipitation you receive. So it's safe to say that you guys will experience a little bit more snowfall than average as a result of a more moist environment, as well as a cooler environment, thanks to this polar jet stream dipping further southward, as well as the Pacific jet bringing a lot of troughs that cool down the area in the Pacific Northwest, since of course the clouds block a lot of that short wave radiation from heating up the surface. And if we were to take a look further eastward, you see it's typically a little bit more moist than average right around the Ohio River Valley, which is typical during a La Nina, and we should expect potentially more snowstorms as a result of this, because since we're expected to see more moist than average conditions along with jet stream that dips further south during a La Nina, as opposed to an El Nino where the jet stream is well far up north most of the winter, we should expect more snowfall as a result of colder than average conditions, as well as more moist than average conditions as a result of this jet stream moving through the northern United States. However, it's a stark contrast when we look further southward, where it's typically a lot warmer and drier during a La Nina. So this definitely gives a good indicator of how many inches of snowfall we should expect in each region, how much more or how much less inches of snowfall you should expect compared to the long-term average. But there's still other factors we need to take a look at. Taking a look at the average snowfall patterns during a La Nina year. So this is a big indicator of how much snowfall you should expect above average, and you see majority of the northern United States experiences well above average snowfall in excess of 4 to 12 additional inches of snowfall on average during a La Nina winter. So we could expect at least around 10 or more inches of snowfall during a La Nina winter, which is very interesting and definitely will be taken into consideration for this forecast. So you guys in the northern United States should expect a little bit more snow than average, so make sure to stay prepared for the winter. The areas where we typically see less snowfall than average during a La Nina is closer to the southwestern United States, which includes states like New Mexico, Arizona, and even portions of Kansas and Colorado. And surprisingly enough, we do see a little bit less snowfall than average right around the western mid-Atlantic states, which includes Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Maryland. So in those areas, you could expect a little bit less snowfall than average. But if we were to take a look at the contours, you see that it isn't a huge difference when it comes to average snowfall. It's simply the difference only ranges from 2 to 4 inches less compared to average. So it isn't going to make a very big noticeable effect when it comes to snowfall in those regions. So I wouldn't take it so seriously that it's going to be below average, because the difference is so minimal that it's very hard to really notice the difference when the winter comes 2 to 4 inches below average. So that's definitely something we need to keep in mind when making this forecast. It's gonna snow more, most likely in the northern United States, while portions of the southern United States should experience less snowfall than average during a La Nina. Now, taking a look at the temperature anomalies for every winter during a La Nina phase compared to the long-term average between 1991 and 2020, you see that majority of the United States, especially in northern United States, experiences cooler than average temperatures, and that certainly should increase the chance of snowfall because, of course, when it's colder, there's less likely of a chance you'll receive a rainfall since, of course, the temperature is cold enough to support for snow. And you see that for majority of the northern United States, it's going to be more than cold enough for a lot of snow to accumulate and more snowfall than average. And usually this even extends to the west coast as well, and this extends all the way to the east coast as well, and even the extreme portions of the east coast right around the interstate 95 corridor. So this extends for a very long area. The only area where the temperatures are not colder than average are the southeast, as well as portions of Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. However, majority of the United States typically experiences a colder than average winter. By the way, this is between the months of November and March, because between November and March, a lot of areas already receive a lot of snowfall during those months in November and March, so I decided to include it. And you see that the temperatures are a lot colder than the long-term average during the La Nina winter, so that certainly should increase the snowfall for a lot of the northern United States. Now, taking a look at the sea surface temperature anomaly, and you might be wondering, what does this have to do with the winter? I know I show you guys this a lot during the hurricane season, so you might be wondering what this has to do with how many inches of snow you'll experience this winter. Well, for one thing is that the sea surface temperatures really strengthen above average sea surface temperatures really strengthen nor'easters, because the thing that pretty much creates nor'easters is the strong instability between the air that's directly above the Gulf Stream, which is warmed up by the very warm Gulf Stream water, and the cold Arctic air that tries to filter into that very warm Gulf Stream air. And as it does so, it creates just a very unstable environment just off the northeast coast, and that creates nor'easter just off the east coast. And if we're seeing the sea surface temperatures well above average, then we should see more bombogenesis. Bombogenesis occur a little bit more as a result of warmer sea surface temperatures, thanks to the stronger instability between the air that's directly above the Gulf Stream and the Arctic air that's expected to dip further southward. And we should see more just powerful nor'easters that could dump a lot of snow along the east coast. Now, I also want to point out, taking a look at the water temperatures in the Great Lakes region, it's well above average, which means that you guys are definitely more likely to experience snow in that scenario, because if this were to continue into the winter, the lakes are less likely to freeze, and as a result, lake effect snow should be way more prominent along the Great Lakes region, because of course when the cold Arctic air moves over the warmer lake effect Great Lakes, then there's a more unstable environment, and of course the ice will not be able to block the atmosphere from absorbing a lot of that the water from the Great Lakes, because the lake isn't frozen. And if this were to continue, the lakes are less likely to freeze. There's likely to be more instability between the cold Arctic air as well as the air that's directly above the warmer Great Lakes water. And lake effect snow should be expected, and we should see more lake effect snow that will dump a lot more snow along the Great Lakes region. So we need to definitely take that into consideration as well. Now, taking a look at another big factor when it comes to forecasting how much snowfall you should receive is the Arctic oscillation. And to make the long story short, pretty much during a negative Arctic oscillation, we're more likely to see polar vortexes and colder air overall. throughout the Northeast. However, and we're more likely to see snow as well. However, during a positive Arctic oscillation, we're less likely to see an unstable environment in the United States. It should be warmer, and there should be less snowstorms overall during a positive Arctic oscillation. And you see, right now we're in a negative Arctic oscillation, but of course we're still in the middle of October, so we aren't gonna experience snow this early just yet. But if we're in the point where the Arctic oscillation hits, a negative Arctic oscillation hits right around the January, February timeframe where snowstorms are the most likely, then we could be in for a strong winter. Typically, the rule of thumb I go by is typically a negative or positive Arctic oscillation phase lasts for around 1 to 3 months. There are, of course, variations. Sometimes it goes up to the positive phase temporarily while being in the negative phase for the most part. But for the most part, one phase stays around for around a time of 1 to 3 months. And you see that we've been in negative Arctic oscillation mode for the most part for quite some time now, pretty much since the beginning of August and late July. So it should be safe to say that we will enter a positive Arctic oscillation phase soon, and it should last for around 1 to 3 months. So by the time it ends, it could be right around December, January, and February where we could go back to the negative phase, and that would mean that we're in for an even more powerful winter, as that's currently my forecast that we will be in the negative phase during an Arctic oscillation. It's very difficult to forecast it, but I think it's safe to say we will experience a negative Arctic oscillation this winter, so I prepare for more snowfall than average throughout the northern United States, especially. Now, taking a look at what typically happens during positive Arctic oscillation, we see that during a positive Arctic oscillation, we see the westerly winds a lot stronger. So the cold air that's trapped between Canada and the North Pole is less likely to divert further southward, since the westerly winds will keep this cold air trapped further northward. However, during a negative Arctic oscillation, the westerly winds are weaker as a result of a weaker Bermuda Azores high and a weaker Greenland low. So as a result, the cold air is more likely to divert further southward, and we're more likely to see snowstorms and cold blasts throughout the United States during a negative Arctic oscillation. Now, taking a look at my official 2021-2022 snowfall forecast, my second one for the year. There isn't any major differences from my last snowfall forecast, but I did make some key differences. Like, for example, before I was expecting 20 to 30 inches in this area. Now I'm expecting 30 to 40 inches, because this is where the La Nina is the most potent in the northern Midwest. So I expect a little bit more snowfall than what you typically see during a regular year. And you see that for a lot of cities, which includes Minneapolis and a lot of northern Midwest states. I'm still expecting 40 to 60 inches, which is above average for a lot of you guys. And you see I'm expecting 80 inches for the interior Northeast, as well as the northern Great Lakes, as a result of enhanced lake effect snow, and of course colder air as a result of a La Nina. And just south of that, which includes just north of Detroit, a small area of 60 to 80 inches. So you guys should expect a little bit more snowfall than average in those areas. And even and just south of this pink area, which includes cities like New York City, which is expected to experience 30 to 40 inches, which is above average for the New York City metropolitan area, where you typically see 20 to 30 inches. As a result, I'm expecting this because of a La Nina, which is expected to bring more colder than average conditions, as well as more Portland nor'easters possible as a result of warmer than average sea surface temperatures. Just south of that, which includes cities like St. Louis and Albuquerque, New Mexico, as well as a lot of Nevada, as well as Washington D.C. I'm expecting the snowfall forecast to be right around 20 to 30 inches this winter, which is again above average for you guys. Just south of that, I'm saying 10 20 inches, and just south of that, now I'm including Dallas in the 1 to 10 inch category. Before I didn't, but now I am, because I think I overestimated the I pretty much underestimated the amount of snow that this gets per winter, so I'm expecting it to be right around the 1 to 10 inch range. This includes Atlanta, Georgia as well, and the northern portions of the southeast states. So make sure to keep that in mind all throughout the southeast, because you're still expecting to see snowfall even if it is a warmer and drier winter. So this is my 2021-2022 snowfall forecast. If you want an even more in-depth forecast for your location, just comment down below and I'll make sure to give your snowfall forecast when it comes to inches in the comment section. But I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.